The rainforest is full of creatures that terrify people, and with giant spiders, deadly venomous snakes, and plenty of other creepy crawlies seemingly lurking around every corner, I can understand why. But among all the crazy animals here, there's one group that most people actually really like: frogs. Whether it's their cute appearance, charismatic behavior, or the fact that most of them are harmless to humans, there's something for everyone to appreciate about these guys, and we are no exception. My name is Evan, and this is Harrison. We're twin brothers on a mission to make you an insider in the natural world by connecting you with the extraordinary life stories of animals you may never get the chance to see otherwise. We've always loved frogs because we're fascinated by the ingenious and amazingly varied ways they've managed to survive in the face of some pretty extreme challenges. And there's arguably no better place to witness their insane adaptability than the cloud forests of northern Ecuador. This ecosystem is a hotspot of super unique and rarely seen frogs, but it's also facing a lot of threats. So by sharing the stories of the incredible amphibians that live here, we hope to give you some more reasons to care about and protect this imperiled habitat. We'll need to actually find some frogs to do that though, and luckily we didn't have to search long before we got our first one of the night. There's a little rain frog down here that I'm gonna try and grab. You're okay, buddy? Got him. Ooh, got him. This is a Pasteur's rain frog, and they're easily one of the most common species of frogs that we've seen here in the cloud forest. Now, what's really neat about these guys is that they're super adaptable. We've seen them in every habitat type we've explored, from the heavily disturbed human-modified areas all the way into this really nice patch of primary cloud forest, this undisturbed habitat. So these guys are absolutely everywhere. They're easily recognizable by that black stripe that runs right under their eye. They're super cute little amphibians, and I'm really glad we got to catch this one out here. He just hopped right out of my hand. So cool to see these little guys out here. They are super fun to catch. The genus that the Pasteur's rain frog belongs to, Pristimantis, is mind-blowing because it has the highest number of species of any vertebrate genus. And this is just the tip of the iceberg of frog diversity. There are nearly 150 species in this one region of Ecuador alone, and likely many more that haven't been described yet. But just because there are a lot of them here doesn't mean that finding and catching them is easy. In these videos, you really only get to see the fun stuff like successful catches, but that's not always how it goes in the field. To give you an idea of what these missions are really like, there was this one species of frog that was super abundant in the area we were exploring, but we just couldn't seem to catch one. We kept seeing them and kept missing them for longer than I'd like to admit, but just as we started to lose hope that we'd actually get our target, we spotted one more frog in catching range, so Harrison got in position to make the grab. You got it, bro. Got him. Nice. A little bit of vegetation with me here. There he is. This is the black jungle frog. And there's a very interesting fact about these little frogs. They are poisonous, and the toxins cause a lot of irritation and even burning or foaming to pretty much anything that would try to eat them or handle them, including humans. So this is one frog you do not want to underestimate, especially because the toxins in his body can actually be more irritating than some species of poison dart frogs would. But it has not been easy to get one of these animals in front of the camera, and you have well earned your freedom, little one. So we are going to take some B-roll and get him right back into the environment so he can get back, probably, to trying to find something to eat. It took us a long time to get that jungle frog, but the challenge of catching frogs is also what makes it fun, and even more rewarding when your effort does finally pay off. Unfortunately though, after this point, our frog sightings slowed down considerably, and with some nasty weather on the horizon, we decided to call it for the night. Amphibian activity is pretty low during the day, so we decided to scout for some good habitat for the next night of exploring instead. And as we searched around a pile of debris, our good friend Rex, one of the amazing people we'd been traveling the country with, found someone else who may be looking for frogs too. Rex got a snake!
Oh, he's in rough shape though. Got a major injury, but...
This is a very exciting little find.
that Rex just had. This is a forest flame snake. Now this would definitely be something that would be out looking for the same kind of amphibians and reptiles that we're looking for. Forest flame snakes are incredible generalists. They can live in a wide variety of habitats, both pristine forests and heavily disturbed areas like the one we're in now. And one thing that I find really interesting about them is that this is actually a venomous species, though they are known to be extremely docile and almost never known to bite people when caught. So this is a really cool snake to take a quick look at. They're mostly nocturnal, so we don't want to hang on to this guy any longer than we have to. But what a beautiful animal. Again, mildly venomous, would not hurt a human if it were to bite, but getting this guy back into his tin is probably the best thing we can do for it. So cool though. Love seeing snakes out here.
Right after we released the flame snake, the cloud forest gave us a taste of what all those clouds are holding, as the rest of the afternoon was a complete wash.
As you can see and hear all around us, it is starting to rain pretty heavily, which is bad for us in our filming. We're booking it back to the lodge actually, but it's fantastic for amphibians. All this rain is gonna bring out a ton of frogs tonight. So, despite the difficulties for filming now, this is actually a good sign for later in the night.
Frogs are often particularly active after heavy rains, and that's good for us because we still had some huge targets that are notoriously difficult to spot: glass frogs. These animals are habitat specialists that mainly live along densely vegetated creeks. And as we were scouting the area on our way back to the lodge, we found a creek that looked very promising. We came back that night after the rain had passed, and it didn't take us long before we spotted exactly what we were looking for high up in some leaves.
It's thorny, be careful.
I can kind of see him. Evan
Okay, just jump.
has his lifer emerald glass frog that he's now trying to grab.
Got him.
Very nice.
And got him.
Congratulations. That is an emerald glass frog, the first one I have ever seen. Harrison and Rex got one last night, but I wasn't there to see it. So this is super exciting. Now, I don't know how well it'll show up on camera, but they're called glass frogs because their skin is actually translucent. When I hold him up to the light like this, I can actually see right through his body, and I can actually get the outline of his internal organs, which is crazy.
Glass frog camouflage is seriously impressive because not only do many species have almost transparent skin, but they can even hide their blood in their liver and obscure their internal organs when they're resting to make themselves even harder to spot. They are incredibly sensitive though, so we put on some gloves to keep this interaction as safe as possible.
All right, we just got him onto this leaf because we wanted to put on gloves. I'm just gonna gently get him into my hands here so we can take a better look. There we go. These frogs are absolute icons of the rainforest. Such an incredible frog. Ooh, wow. He hopped right on my face. They're so much fun. And those giant eyes that you see there is what helps them navigate this environment so effectively. You've already seen their jumping ability, and those big buggy eyes give them incredible vision at night. This is an entirely nocturnal species, so the only way that we're gonna be able to see these frogs is coming out and hiking these creek systems at night. These frogs rely on old growth forests and healthy stream systems that have overhanging vegetation. It's a very specific habitat requirement. And outside of that, you are not going to see glass frogs like this. And wow, you really can see right through them. This is everything I was hoping for coming here to the cloud forest. And if there was ever a reason to want to protect the habitat that exists here, I think this guy is it. That must be the cutest frog I've ever seen. So we need to get this guy back, but let's go. We got our glass frog. Boom. All right, we'll get this guy right back here on the leaf, and he'll be on his way. Sweet.
We were super happy to have found our biggest frog target in the cloud forest, but that was not the only stroke of luck that we had. The rain had brought out all sorts of cool animals, and it gave us the chance to see something very exciting: a frog breeding event.
There's another little tree frog right here in the reeds that I'm gonna try and grab. They're really flighty. I think I got him. Yep, I got him. Oh, there he is. He actually came right out. So this is an executioner clown frog. We're seeing dozens of them in this little area alone, and they're all calling out to each other looking to breed. Now, what's really encouraging about seeing these frogs try and breed here is that the habitat we're in right now is heavily disturbed. Even the pond that we're seeing them breeding in right now has actually been put in by people. So much of the cloud forest has already been modified for human use that a lot of these animals are losing the natural habitat that they would use to do things like feed and breed normally. But to see cute little frogs like these executioner clown frogs able to still carry out their biology here in heavily disturbed areas is a good sign that a lot of the native species that we love seeing may be able to persist even in the face of pretty considerable destruction by humans. So we will let this guy go, get back on his way to breeding, and hopefully, as they're able to breed, this species will be able to persist even longer here in the cloud forest. And I'll just let him get right back into the pond. Maybe he can find a nice little female. Off you go, buddy. Perfect.
Frogs are the icons of the amphibian world for a reason. There's just something about them that people seem to really like. Though the species we found may not be the craziest or even particularly rare, the ways that they have figured out how to solve their problems and survive are absolutely fascinating to us. The thing is, amphibians are facing some threats that may be too great for them to overcome, as habitat destruction is devastating the cloud forest and tropical ecosystems all over the world, and global climate change could make many places uninhabitable for them entirely. We will need to make some huge changes as a society in order to conserve amphibians into the future, and that's actually the reason that we chose to dedicate a whole video to these overlooked and little-known species. Because they're so likable, we think frogs can be amazing ambassadors for their whole ecosystems. And the more people are able to learn about them and hear their stories, the more reasons we will have to protect them. The threats facing amphibians around the world are not hypothetical. And if you want to dive deep into the science behind them and understand what is really going on, check out this video to learn about the amphibian extinction crisis and what we can do to help stop it. And with that, we hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you in the next one.